is it actually Biden and his administration? I mean, I think it's somewhat rhetorical, but that they are the root cause of the border crisis. They are the ones who said, come all, try to get in. This is the best time to do it. We're not going to really send anyone away. We're going to end remain in Mexico, which is something that was working well for those who are actually seeking asylum.
When they keep saying they want to get to the root causes of mass migration, we're wondering, are they the root cause for mass migration here?
They took the policies that we had put in place. It took us a couple of years to get it right, but we turned the magnet off. We had enforced our southern border. We had stopped the humanitarian crisis. We kept our national security intact, and they literally stare at this problem set and say, nothing to see here, folks. They are completely absent from this enormous crisis. I think they think if it just goes on long enough, maybe we'll all forget. We can't turn away. This is an enormous problem, and the administration has to take seriously its responsibility to secure American freedom and defend our borders.
They have officially put an end to the Remain in Mexico policy. I mean, we're talking about at least 68,000 people who were seeking asylum, who were told, okay, if you really believe that you've got an asylum claim to make, you have to wait in Mexico, and then when it's your turn to present your case, you'll be able to go through the legal process here. It's different than the immigration process. Now that that's been ended, I mean, what happens next? I mean, it's already out of control.
I assume it's the case that they'll be given a ticket to cross the border freely. You can't make a bogus claim, show up in the United States, and then just hang out and transit freely across America and think, boy, I may be able to stay forever, and someday they'll give me asylum or they'll give me a free pass. That is a magnet.
The border agents, and we're hearing from them, Mike, we're hearing from them a lot, and they're saying that the hard left of the Democratic Party is, pushing for defunding ICE. And what the ICE agents are basically saying, hey, look, they may not have defunded us, but they have hamstrung us. Our hands are tied because it's basically no enforcement. So they effectively have abolished ICE in a sense by their policies that they're putting in place, limiting what these agents can do.
They literally want to handcuff our agents. Their families send them off every morning knowing that they're going to confront people who may well want to harm them. It puts them at physical risk, and then, of course, it prevents them from doing their jobs that the law requires them to do. This is a de-effectivizing. Without taking the money away, they're essentially taking away all the tools that they've used for these past 4 years to secure our southern border. It's dangerous for our great law enforcement people at our southern borders, and it's dangerous for the country as well.
It's clear that the Biden administration officials are scared to actually visit the border. They don't want that imagery. They don't want that picture. They don't want that video. They don't want to actually see it for themselves in person. But what they tell us is that, well, hey, we're going to go to Costa Rica. We're going to meet with people. We're going to handle this diplomatically. Now, I think, and you can speak to this, there's obviously a diplomatic component to this. You worked out the Remain in Mexico plan. You had to work on that with Mexico. But if you don't actually go see what you're dealing with, and you're just traveling around, these root causes we talk about, it seems like it kind of hamstrings the ability to actually use the diplomacy.
There's nothing like really hearing from the people who are most impacted by the situation. By the way, that's certainly our law enforcement people who are tasked with executing this. They ought to travel to Mexico as well, the country that helped us and worked alongside of us. That policy was negotiated diplomatically with the Mexican government. It delivered good outcomes for the U.S. and for Mexico, and certainly for the people who are being trafficked. You got to confront it. You got to listen. You have to learn. You have to understand it in context. If you can't do that, if you can't confront it, you'll see precisely what we've seen, thousands of people coming across our border presenting enormous risk to all of us.
This problem for the country, how significant is it?
We know that there's risk that there'll be folks coming not from just Central America, but others will see a transit path, whether that's terrorists or criminals who want to come into our country. We have a responsibility. The United States government has a responsibility to know who's coming in and out of our country and to secure that border. Otherwise, Katie barred the door, and there are all kinds of national security risks that flow from that.